And then there's one scene when Cruz is talking to Lightning McQueen and she's explaining about how he inspired her when she was a kid. How the fuck was this car a kid? How? How do these cars age? Do they die? Can you just replace the engine? Is that supposed to be their soul? But how was she a kid? How is she... How are these cars born? How do these cars have sex? Well, we're here. We've arrived. We're at the end of my watching of the Cars trilogy. Can you believe all of the movies that have gotten sequels and gotten trilogies? So many others didn't. So many other films didn't get sequels, didn't continue on that I had hoped for. And yet we get 3 Cars films. Yippee. Squirrel Girl. Is it me or did they make Squirrel Girl kind of thick? What's going on, everybody? My name is Mike Brown, aka Review King MB, and like I said, this is Cars 3, a 2017 film. And look, I will be completely honest, completely transparent. I did not hate this movie. I did not finish this film and have a thought of, wow, what a piece of shit, or wow, what a complete fail. Because I'm sure Disney, Pixar, did Pixar make this? I think they did. I'm sure they got their money. I'm sure this film did make money. And that's why there are 3 of these goddamn films. But I do feel like a little bit that I wasted my time overall. The first film, I think, has its merit. The first film, I think, has its moments. The second film is so bad that I think that's why I am being kinder to this third movie, because there is no way that they could have made a worse film than that second film. So this one obviously just gets extra points because it's way more watchable. But I also don't feel like I'm going to rewatch any of these films anytime soon, probably ever. The beginning of this movie, I will say that they tried to have some intrigue, right? You have Lightning McQueen, once again voiced by Owen Wilson, who he's at the top of his game. He's on top of the world. He's winning all of these races. He's the best car racer in the world. Only for him to start to doubt himself. And I mean, at the very beginning, we're talking the first 10, 15 minutes, he has a really bad crash. And I'm talking one of those classic NASCAR crashes that I think the only reason why NASCAR is as big as it is and why people actually go to these goddamn races and why people give a fuck about watching them is because they want to see a crash. Obviously, they don't want to see anybody die or get badly injured, but the crash seems to be some sort of thrill and something that people kind of place bets on. And we get that level of a crash. I was actually surprised over how hard they hit this crash and how you could have told me that Lightning McQueen died right then and there, and I would have believed it. That's how rough this was. We jump ahead 4 months later, and in retrospect, I kind of wish we saw some of this 4-month period. I know it would probably be super depressing and too sad for a kid's film, so I know why they didn't show it, but when you see the rest of the film, it just feels like nothing else of note, nothing else of substance or importance happens. So it's like, well, I would have liked to have seen maybe this car character dealing with feeling this down and out. It would probably be the Cars version of Dark Knight Rises or the Cars version of Skyfall, right? When your lead character is out of the game, practically retired, and he has to work his way up to coming back. And that is what this movie is. You know, you have Lightning McQueen. He sort of tries to get out of this funk. It was interesting when he had the gray car color. I thought maybe he was going to have that longer, but he instantly gets repainted. It's like, all right, we're good to go. They have this facility, or it's a compound, where cars go for almost like therapy, but it's for racing. It's like support system for cars, and he is getting trained by this Cruz character, and I thought that was going to be a bigger deal. It seems like they kind of brushed through all of that as well. It seems like Lightning McQueen didn't really need as much talking up. I mean, sure, he did, but the movie kind of turns and becomes more about this Cruz character, this female car who she's there as a trainer. She's supposed to get everyone their confidence back. She's supposed to help them in order to get where they need to go for their races, only to find out that she has always wanted to be a racer, only to find out that she too was inspired by Lightning McQueen, and so the movie kind of becomes about her, which isn't terrible, isn't like the worst thing ever, but it was just kind of like, I don't know. Maybe it's because I never was fully invested in these cars, like the universe of cars. I've mentioned this probably to death. You're probably sick of hearing me talk about it if you've already seen my other reviews over how I just can't vibe with this universe. I can't vibe with this world of cars and how it all works. But especially with this movie where there's so many flashbacks of like old cars and old races, like old time cars that are like supposed to be this great history of racing, and it's like, well, how long has this world been just cars? How, like, I could have sworn they said that this world had humans at one point. Maybe I'm misremembering that, but it's like, I don't understand. And then there's one scene when Cruz is talking to Lightning McQueen, and she's explaining about how he inspired her when she was a kid. How the fuck was this car a kid? How? How do these cars age? I mean, I get that once their engine craps out, then that's essentially them dying, or that's a representative of maybe them dying. I don't know. I still don't really get that. Do they die? Can you just replace the engine? Is that supposed to be their soul? But how is she a kid? How is she... How are these cars born? How do these cars have sex? We don't have to really get into all of that because who really wants to know? But when you start giving me a character that says that they were young once and that they grew up and were inspired by this character, I start having more questions. I'm confused, people. And I should mention, I guess, the newer car on the block, the one that beat Lightning McQueen at the beginning of the movie and is kind of the one that McQueen is trying to get past or by. I just combined those words. He's trying to get back to this Jackson Storm car. And for a character that's built up as the new chip on the block, the new one to watch out for, he's hardly in the movie. It's really just there just to be like a symbol for something for McQueen to try to be. It's like he's nothing of a character. He's voiced by Armie Hammer, which with that name, at that time, you would have expected maybe more from the character. Maybe whoever casted him was aware that someday, one day, Armie Hammer would have some weird, dark, effed up shit come out about him. So they reduced his role super small to where you wouldn't even know it was him unless you looked it up, like I did. Overall, like I said, I don't hate this movie. I don't think this movie's terrible. I don't think this movie is really anything for me to complain about or rant about, other than the small confusion that I have still about the universe. I think the movie is watchable. I think the movie is harmless. It's fine. But I can't find myself being invested in the Cars film. Even for just a small kid's level of entertainment, I still don't find the appeal of these Cars movies. If there is another series of animated films, Pixar films, I mean, I've seen my fair share. I've reviewed some animated movies. If you haven't seen them, check my channel. But if there's anything I haven't seen that you guys recommend, I'd love to hear it because, my God, I need something like blow away. I need something that I'm really probably going to love. It's possible. I'm not that much of an asshole. Anyways, guys, let me know what you think of Cars 3 and the whole Cars series. Can they not make a Cars 4? Please, please. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Later.